We start things off by seeing a girl in a research facility running through a sewer system, when she confirms to a voice over the radio that she's secured the key and needs to be guided out. As she's running, human-controlled automated mechs start giving chase, exploding the walkway she's on and injuring her. As she gets outside, not thinking that she'll make it herself, she implants the key into this little droid dude, telling it to take it to someone named Guy. Another mech then closes in, shooting near the girl and cornering her. Suddenly, an invisible mech then appears, seeming to be on her side, holding the enemy mech back, telling her to get away, and that she'll cover her while she does. Missiles from the enemy mech then fire out of its back, exploding near the girl and knocking her off the edge of the bridge into the water below. The next day, we're introduced to the main man of the show, Shu Oma, making his way to school. Once in class, we get to see that he's pretty socially awkward, as his classmates come over just wanting to talk with him, but he just assumes they're hounding him about the group assignment they have and promises them that he'll get it done before the deadline. His friend then calls him a bit dense about him not understanding that they just wanted to chat with him, leading him to have some introspective thoughts about how he feels like his mind is just out of step with everyone else's, and most of the time, he just doesn't know what to say. We then get some information about the world. He says that right now, in the year 2039, Japan isn't exactly an independent nation anymore, due to an outbreak of the apocalypse virus, which occurred 10 years earlier. This led to Japan almost completely relying on many other countries, most of which joined together to institute a government organization in Japan known as the GHQ, which now has strict rule of Japan. After school, Shu makes his way towards his abandoned warehouse studio to work on his aforementioned assignment. Only when he makes his way inside, he finds the girl we saw earlier sitting on the floor singing to herself. He recognizes her as Inori Yuzuriha, a singer belonging to the popular band Egoist. He tries to ask her what her deal is, but she only really responds by saying that they need to get the key to Guy. Just then, the doors to the studio are kicked in and members of the GHQ storm the building, capturing Inori, calling her a terrorist before dragging her away. Shu then sulks for a bit, lamenting the fact that he let a baddie like Inori get away, and didn't do anything to try and stop them. I mean, what could you do though? They have gun and you only have fist. In order to try and make amends, Shu wants to complete her mission, and proceeds to take the key to Guy, who is somewhere in the Roppongi district of Tokyo. Later that night, Inori is being interrogated by a GHQ division major known as Gun, where he threatens her, by saying that it's within his power to condemn this entire district of Roppongi if he so wishes. He can do this by claiming that a disease outbreak has occurred here, but he won't if she simply reveals where the key is. She refuses to reveal the information, however, and so the major commences the operation, giving all soldiers the ability to kill every infected individual. Meanwhile, Shu arrives at the destination the droid led him to, where after being roughed up a bit by the locals, finally meets with Guy himself, who then proceeds to absolutely dumpster on the guys roughing up Shu. Just as they're about to start talking, explosions go off in the distance and they become aware of GHQ's attack on the area. In the ensuing chaos, Shu gets split off from Guy, with his final words being not to let go of the key and to protect it. Shu begins to run away, feeling helpless and thinking to himself what can he do. Just then, he spots Inori having escaped her toppled vehicle she was being interrogated in, but two mechs then also see her, putting her in danger. Shu then becomes resolved in himself, that just this once, he'll do something completely unlike what he would usually do, as he runs in to save her. As he races towards her, the key suddenly shatters, transporting Shu and Inori to what seems like another dimension. A brand suddenly appears on his hand, and Inori's chest begins to glow, when she asks him to please use her. "I think you're in, King." He then reaches towards her chest as a power begins to envelop him, retrieving something from her essence, which appears to be a massive sword. Despite Shu still being confused as to what's going on, the mechs, known as Endlave, try to attack him, although they quickly turn out to be no match for him and he destroys them. Shortly after, we see Guy and his commander watching on, shocked at seeing the power of a void. Shu is then told by Guy that due to the battle turning, they need to evacuate the area. After they all regroup, Guy congratulates his hacker Sugumi and their very own Endlave pilot, Ayase. But when he gets to Inori, he begins to scold her, saying that he's disappointed in her as the key that was meant for him, also known as the Void Genome, was used by Shu. I mean, he can't really blame anyone. He had plenty of time to grab it earlier from Shu, but wanted to beat up some goons instead. He then explains that the key she gave him was one of only 3 enhanced genomes, and the power it has bestowed on him is known as the King's Power, which will now let him draw out the powers hidden within someone by converting them into voids. And a void is basically the core essence of ideas which someone subconsciously comprises of. Inori's void was a sword, but different voids exist between different people. Guy then tells Shu, because of these circumstances, he can no longer just stand idly by, now that he has the power to change the world for the better, and must fight with them. As dawn rises, Guy gets a call, saying that over 100 people have been taken hostage in an underground car park nearby, and a sadistic member of the GHQ, Daryl Yan, has shown up. Upon meeting with his team, Guy is told that a rescue attempt would be too dangerous. However, Guy has a plan up his sleeve, saying that he can't let an opportunity like this pass by, revealing that this is going to be the moment they make themselves known to the world, which is met with a round of applause. A short time later, after the GHQ executes a small group of hostages, Guy commences the attack, launching a large array of missiles towards them, some of which get destroyed by the GHQ's defenses, while others hit their target. Upon seeing the fighting start, Daryl, who is also an Endlave pilot, rushes over to the uplink to join the fight. As he takes himself and all other Endlave units away though, Guy's second phase of the plan begins, as him and his squad have all gotten in close and have locked onto Gun and his command center. Guy begins talking to Gun over the radio, stating that if they surrender now, they'll let them live. Gun, however, responds by saying that they've got gas bombs placed underground, and if the leader doesn't show himself, they will set them off, killing all of those inside. Guy then says, "Alright, bet," stepping forward and revealing himself. Gun and Guy then chat for a bit, talking down on each other's ideals, when Gun tries to hit him with the "no, you surrender," by revealing all of the laser defense weapons they have placed nearby, giving him till the count of 10 to do so. Nearby, Shu begins thinking to himself that if he messes up this next part, everyone here will die. Yeah man, easy. No pressure at all. Inori then reassures him, before placing his hand on her chest as it glows. Gun begins counting down as we see Shu, with a giant sword again, breaking through the enemy lines and up to the uplink station Daryl is in. He cuts it open before grabbing and stealing Daryl's void, which Guy told him was known as the Kaleidoscope. Shu activates the void just as Gun reaches zero, firing off all lasers directly at Guy. Just as they're about to connect with him, a shield made from the Kaleidoscope seems to stop them, before redirecting them like a mirror back towards Gun, completely obliterating him and everyone nearby. Afterwards, Guy approaches Shu, telling him good job with today and asking once again for him to come with them. However, sometime later, we see Shu in school, wondering to himself what would have happened if he took Guy's hand and joined them. But he then reassures himself, stating that he made the right choice and that his life can now go back to normal. Except for the small fact that their class now has a new transfer student, and upon walking in, is revealed to be Inori. He is shocked at this, and the class quickly figures out that she is the lead singer from Egoist. This fact leads to her quickly becoming quite popular. After school, just as Shu is about to open the door to his house, he resolves to himself not to get any more involved with her or Guy's group, which have given themselves the name of Undertaker. A hand then comes out of nowhere and scans into his house, who turns out to be none other than Inori, who quickly begins to make herself at home before requesting something to eat. Elsewhere, at the headquarters of the GHQ, we see Director Kaido talking with the board about the failure of what happened in Roppongi, when he says he'll put that and all matters relating to the group known as Undertakers to a man known as Major Makoto Sugai, who is one of the sharpest minds they've got. Later that night, back at Shu's, he's wondering how he's going to explain to his mother the fact that there is now a girl living here, when Inori replies, saying that his mother only comes back once a week, so it most likely won't be an issue, proving they've done a background check on him. She then explains that she is here to protect him, before taking him to meet with Guy, who reveals that a student at Shu's school, who is secretly a drug dealer who deals in a drug known as the Normagene, saw him during the Roppongi incident. Guy confirms that he has the ability to see other people's voids, explaining that the void belonging to the person that saw him is in the form of shears. Inori then teaches the basic principles of drawing out voids to Shu, who confronts his classmates one by one. After several failures, Shu soon figures out that the one who saw him is actually his friend, Yahiro Samukawa. He figured something might be up, since his calm demeanor doesn't match his taste in movies. Upon being confronted, he becomes enraged, but Shu manages to subdue him by extracting his void, and afterwards stops Inori from killing him. I sure hope that doesn't come back to bite you. When Yahiro awakens, he and Shu both resolve to keep each other's secrets. However, the next day on the train, Shu is pushed out onto a platform riddled with GHQ guards, by none other than Yujiro. Shu is then apprehended by Major Sagai in front of everyone on the train, and is taken to GHQ Isolation Facility 4. He ain't no snitch though, and he remains silent about his involvement with the Undertakers. As Sagai is taking Shu to the isolation ward, he reveals that Yuhiro's younger brother is receiving treatment at the facility due to being a victim of the Apocalypse virus. This is the reason for why Yujiro ratted out Shu. Sagai then further dismays Shu when mentioning that Guy plans to rescue a mass murderer named Kenji Kido, and not him, giving Shu a transmitter in the shape of a pen to use when he comes in contact with Guy. Later that night, Guy, disguised as a lawyer, visits Shu to involve him in rescuing Kenji, but Shu rejects the assistance. The facility's alarm then suddenly goes off, and Tsugumi informs the two that Inori has broken into the facility and plans to rescue Shu herself, ignoring orders given to her by Guy. Guy is then forced to change his group's plan of action against the GHQ Enclaves when Shu goes to save her. On his way there, after Iyase protects him from harm, Shu encounters Kenji, before extracting and using his Void, which takes the form of a gravity manipulation device. Using this, he stops the GHQ Enclaves and rescues Inori. Following the facility's destruction, Shu once again is offered to join Guy, and reluctantly accepts. However, he keeps Sagai's transmitter and does not inform Guy of their exchange. Hey, thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. It only takes a second and it really helps me out.